Hey, everybody, and welcome to DejaVue.
Your favorite Vue podcast. You just don't know it yet.
With me is Michael Thiessen.
Hey, everyone. I am Michael. I do Vue content and education and all sorts of things like that. And joining me is Alex.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm also a content creator doing some YouTube videos around Vue.js and Nux. I'm also part of the Nux team. So if you see myself or like a feature, little GitHub picture here and there saying, oh, yeah, that issue, can you please provide a reproduction? Do so. That's always helpful. But yeah, that's not what this episode is about, not about how you make a correct reproduction on GitHub, though that's also a very, very good topic for another episode, maybe.
One day.
I hope so. Today we'll talk about a conference that happened a little bit ago, which is Vue.js Amsterdam.
Yeah, you're going to have to cure or make me feel better about the FOMO that I had, because I think since 2018, I've been telling myself that, yeah, I'm going to go next year to Amsterdam. I'm going to make it. I'm going to get to see that giant screen. I'm going to be there with everyone. But just like every year, just something different comes up. Can't make it. But I will make it next year.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to that because it is an amazing conference, and I'm more than sure that next year will be the year where we'll all finally meet there together. But yeah, to say the FOMO, let's say it's somewhat justified. And unfortunately, I wish I could like cure you of like, oh yeah, no, it's not a big thing of a deal, but it's always amazing because it is the biggest Vue.js conference in the world, and they're like really it's not even like a class meeting, let's say. It's really more of like a big family happening where you see people around the Vue community, no matter if they're like other speakers or they're coming there to join talks, you talk with them, all the Vue.js developers on one place, listening to people from the industry, listening to core team members of the Vue, Nux, V team, and so on, and having really good time in the theater, where, as you said, there is a huge screen. Like when you stand in front of it, it's a bit surreal. And it's really cozy. It's a pretty amazing vibe that lots of other conferences, especially bigger ones, don't really have, because they're more like with like clinical expo feeling. There's really more like, it's cozy, it's nice, and let's have some chat. Just the popcorn is missing. That's the only thing.
Yeah, well, maybe next year we'll get some popcorn in there.
Maybe a good suggestion for the organizers.
So what is it like giving a talk in front of that giant screen? In front of how many people were there?
1,300, something like that, if I remember. Definitely over 1,000. Yeah. And it was packed this year. Yeah, it's definitely different. Like if you used to, like, I mean, we both do public speaking for a bit now. And if you used to go in front of people, being at the meetup or the conference, it's still a bit different if you're like on that of a huge ass stage with like also a single track. That's also important to mention. So all these 1,000 people are there to watch you. And yeah, you go up there, the screen is gigantic, and it's really a different feeling. And I had the honor to be on stage for the third time this year. So last year I didn't give a talk. I emceed, so I basically announced the people from the community, all the core team members and so on, which is also a very nice moment, because then you have maybe some jokes and some inside stories you can briefly tell. I remember last year I announced Debbie O'Brien, and we said that basically we met in person 2019 at that conference, and yet we shared a stage again, and how she dreamt about working at Microsoft, and then she did it, and all these nice scenarios. So it's definitely a special moment. It's in a way it's surprisingly different than what you usually do when you go up on stage.
Right.
But in a way it's also the same, because as soon as you start giving your talk, I feel, because you can't see all these people necessarily unless you ask the people, like, okay, can we get the house lights up? Then you see that there are really like 1,500 people staring at you, like, oh, if you do live coding, don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
But and also this, of course, just a joke. Like I did that 2 years ago, 2022, I think, where I gave, that was the very last talk before the after party. That's always a tricky spot. Because people, like some people had to catch trains or flights, and other people like, oh, up for beer, up for food. And I did some live coding. In the end, I rickrolled everybody. The video is also still up, linked in the show notes. So there I really messed up one line. I was like, oh no, it didn't work. Because also I didn't have access to speaker notes for some technical reasons. And then somebody in the audience was like, oh yeah, there, that line. And this is always super helpful.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of that feedback that you can get is just live debugging in front of, you got 1,500 people to help you find
at least
find
some
error.
of them. They will know for sure. Yeah, and also like with all the other experts sitting there and people just like pointing out. I remember like Daniel Rowe, who's the lead of the Nux team, like once watched the talk and something didn't work. It's like, oh, you shouldn't destructure there. They're like, oh yeah, thanks. So that's always really nice. But yeah, all in all, like it's really worth it. Of course, the CFP is hard because it's a single track in 2 days. That means you can't fit like 100 plus people in there. It's more like, yeah, exactly. And of course, we have to face reality there too. There are some slots for people that are there every year, which makes sense. Like, for example, Evan Yu, no questions. Like he is sat there and he's live in person there, which is also great. And also, of course, if people from the Nux team will join talking about Nux, that's almost always a set thing too. Because, of course, lots of people are there to figure out the newest things about the ecosystem and to meet also these people that you maybe only see online or other videos. So it's also very much understandable. But I think they do a really good job of like balancing it out with like new faces versus recurring ones. So you also don't have like the same lineup at every single conference around with regards to Vue. So that's also good.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe next year I'll be one of those new faces.
Yeah, know. Please, honestly, submit the CFP. I'm more than sure that we'll see each other there.
Yeah, one way or another, I'm going to be there, and I think it's going to be great. So, do you have any highlights from this one? I mean, you shared a couple things already.
Yes. Yeah. So I think let's maybe split up. There are like some talk highlights for sure. I watched quite some, not all of them though, because then it's like, okay, you talk with the audience, of course, like people in there. You have friends running around. And sometimes you're just in a speaker room talking with some other people too that you don't see throughout the year. So that's in a way understandable. And also that's for all you out there, the videos will be out soon as well. So if they're not out already, otherwise it's linked in the show notes. I know I talked with Jost, one of the organizers, and said they bring them out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, let's see where that will happen. All the talks were recorded, so you can witness that. But to the highlights, I think, of course, Evan's talk is always a nice start. And there, because it was the 10 years anniversary, it was a real nice history lesson, let's say, and also a little leap into the future of like, okay, what's the plan? How did Vue evolve eventually? And at that point, there's also important to mention there was a meetup before the conference. Actually, there were multiple ones. There was one in Utrecht, which is a city nearby where Anthony, Fu, Daniel Rowe, and Matthias and Julian went. So like the Nux gang and Matthias from Vite. And there was one in Amsterdam where I was going to, and Evan also was there. And eventually we also talked about the 10 years anniversary in like a little discussion round of like, okay, some impactful moments. So that was also really, really nice. But this just as a side note, it just I just reminded like, oh yeah, there was one more thing beforehand. But yeah, the talk from Evan was really good because he was very honest in that one, also saying like, yeah, look, like he also had some doubts or like, I don't know, on social media always like, oh, everything has to be perfect and so good and never like doubting and so on. And there he was really honest by saying like, yeah, some things really didn't work out the way, or like, hey, okay, if you publish Vue 2 and you're like, okay, let's see where things go. It's not the moment where you always strive for, it will definitely be successful. It's like a big question mark. And I mean, we are where we are now, but yeah, that was really nice to see that the creator of such a big framework that's in the end made lots of people happy, build a community. And even, I mean, with Vite having another project that benefits the ecosystem, it's really nice to see where everything put together and where everything is now, but also let's say the negative points, as in the what ifs, like, oh, what if it doesn't work? So that was a big one for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice when people share those hard moments, because it is tempting to just, even for myself, it's tempting to just put out all of this like positive stuff about how things are going well, and like you want people to think that you've got it figured out or that like things are going well, but it's not always the case, and like it's usually not the case that like this is not how life works. And you, especially with big frameworks, as more people use it, there are more challenges, and like transitioning from Vue 2 to Vue 3 and then all that kind of stuff. How do you navigate that? Like, no matter what you do, people are going to be upset and it's going to be challenging. And so I think that all was handled well, but like there's always challenges and you can never, there's no perfect solution, And so it's nice to see that honesty.
It's also really nice to see the learnings out of that, I think. For example, if Vue 2 to Vue 3 point of like, okay, there was like a big change, but it was good in a way. But also if you would do it again, maybe there would be other ways to do so. And for example, right now with what the Vue team is adopting, it's like, okay, let's release features behind the flag. That's like, okay, sure, you start, you deprecate maybe other things, and then you gradually phase them out. But I think especially for Vue 2 to Vue 3, it would be very, very difficult, also given how everything developed, right? It's not like, oh, you have all the knowledge there with what you have right now. You might do different decisions, but back then was like, okay, let's figure out a new API. And then it was not the first decision to backport it to Vue 2. It came later on, and that helped already. But of course, with all the knowledge gained, it was a bit easier than saying, okay, we start with the new API in Vue 2. Maybe that would have led to a total different result. So yeah, all in all, it was really nice to see how things go there. And also like Vapor mode, of course, a few more, few bits of information here and there about that, but also that the repository is public now and people are working on that. I'm very, very curious how that will turn out in terms of performance in the future.
Yeah, Vapor mode has been teased for a bit now, and so it's nice to see progress on that. And it takes a while, these things. So
yes, and it's really good. It's open source. Like that repository is there. That even the playground, you have like an option to enable it now. Of course, there's no feature parity yet, but yeah, people are working on that, and it will be very interesting to see how that will influence once again the community and decisions. Because of course you can opt in per component, but how yet another way of writing components. Well, it's not exactly writing, but like another way of components will influence the whole community. That will be down to see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But yeah, one more highlight. So Evan's talk was on the first day straight away, the first one. I was always there a bit earlier because I shared some of my stickers, put them around a little bit of marketing there with like some thumbnail pictures. Maybe the one or other saw that on Twitter. It was a very random idea.
I saw that on Twitter. Yeah, that's great.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. I was even thinking, I overheard some conversations like, yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but looks funny. And I just popped by, I was like, hi. But yeah. So that was nice. I think like there were really lots of good talks. Of course, I enjoyed all the Nuxt.js talks, like Daniel's talk about the state of Nuxt, Pooya, who released a new version of Nitro, and eventually also Sebastian checking out or like showing all of us what NuxtHub is, which is basically a toolkit to build Nuxt applications on the edge, tightly coupled with Cloudflare right now.
Right.
And in addition to that, there's like a console, which improves the developer experience a lot. That is a paid product, but NuxtHub itself is free to use and open source. And I haven't tried it out yet personally, but I've seen lots of amazing things built with it, and that would be really fun to use.
Yeah, I saw that one and I checked it out a little bit too, and it looks very interesting. I have to dive into that one more for sure.
I've seen like people saying, "Oh yeah, that basically cut my business logic code is still there, but everything around is cut in half," which is like it's amazing if you can use all the things plus deploy on the edge, and that also means it's not that cost intensive, right? To build amazing applications, and I think it's a really good step in that direction So Edge is of course here to stay, and of course I don't mean the browser, but the platform.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth trying out, especially that's open source and that you can just go for it. And of course, NuxtHub uses Nitro under the hood and so on to connect with like the KV store to use the database. So yeah, worth checking out. And that was live released on stage. In general, like live releases were once again a big thing. I still remember Next2 was live released in 2018 at Vue.js London. And well, the team team is still doing it. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like taking live coding to the next level of craziness. And you're like releasing, and so many things can go wrong, but
yes. And then like, the two-factor authentication is also classic. And
yeah,
what I really liked, Pooya was showing like a super simple chat application basically, and like it was also live streamed, right? So people connected from all the world, but also in there like posted some ASCII art and like some hearts and so on. And I still remember like I was watching from the side, and he was so happy about all the messages and all the interactions and how like people enjoy that. And that was a very genuine, nice moments. Just seeing like, okay, lots of people are really happy about the software building, the talk, and that was really cool. So it's definitely worth it. Like as one of the highlights. Also there, as soon as the recording's out, worth watching.
Yeah, that's neat to have that community aspect like pulled into your talk like that.
I think like in general having some and like engaging in some way with the audience is a really good thing. I really like to do that as well, but I'm more of the person asking questions like, oh yeah, like raise your hand or do this or do that. But for example, Daniel does some votes with PartyKit, for example, and yeah, the thing how Pooya did it with the chat is pretty cool. I think lots of people have their own way of incorporating the audience, the people watching, but that also helps to like, let's say, keep their attention up there. On the other hand, to show what's even possible. I think that like there were lots of other good talks. Let's like a tiny speed review of a few more. Like Tim Bannix was playing on his guitar to wake us all up in the second day. That was also very amazing. I listened to that kind of talk of him beforehand, I think 2 times before, and now he like used like the big screen fully, not only like let's say half it on the middle one, because like there are 3 separate parts.
Right.
So that was pretty fun and also nice to get waken up to and like start into the day.
I remember seeing that one live in London last year, and that was
exactly.
It was really good. Not only is he a great developer, but he's also a fantastic guitar player. And
indeed,
I like the whole thing. The whole performance is like, it's like he should go on the road with it. You know, it's like, it's so good.
I mean, like that he played in bands before, right? So that's it's basically like a nice combination. Also explaining the technical side of, okay, how that the whole thing works, how like the guitar presets for the amp set and so on. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Also, like who comes up with that idea?
Yeah, it's wild, and it was so much fun. And yeah, again, another interactive one where people can send in their votes for the next song and all that. So
exactly. So that was definitely a really nice one. Matthias' talk about Vite, for example, was really, really good. I unfortunately have to still rewatch half of that as soon as it's available because I had to go out in the middle because of like some emergency bug that has to be fixed, as it's a classic thing. But I think besides the talks, they're like way more. A really lovely thing to see was really getting in touch with the audience, like talking to people. Because obviously I knew a few people here and there from the community. I met some people I have never met before, only like online on Twitter. I met some people that I never met before in general, and we just had a genuine conversation about Nuxt and Vue, and like lots of like-minded people at one spot that are all nice and friendly and welcoming. I think that was also one of the best things in general why I go to conferences. Like, of course, speaking is fun, but connecting with the people, so of course the speakers too, but also the audience is a key point. and that's worth for everybody.
Yeah, really, it's the best part of conferences. And the one year at VueConf, at VueConf Toronto, I actually just skipped all the talks basically and spent the whole time just chatting with people.
Yes.
And catching up and seeing what people were working on and what things they were excited about and all of that kind of stuff. And for me personally, it's the best part because like, you can watch the talks afterwards online.
Yeah,
It's not the same thing, especially if there's like interactive live parts of it, but it is something you can do if you missed a talk or whatever. But you can't do that with the conversations and that sense of community. And especially I think lots of us are working remotely or from home, and I'm just like, stuck in my basement here by myself, and I don't get to chat with people about Vue, except, with you, I get to chat with Vue.
Every week.
Every week. So that's great. But it's just, it's a totally different thing when you can be there in person with a whole group of people like that.
And I think, as you said, first of all, the real life social interactions are always different. And then you get so many different perspectives. Like, oh yeah, they're like, I don't know, team leads. They're like junior, mid-level developers having so many different cases. And it's really refreshing because you also get so many different angles on topics. Or like, oh, I remember one guy was like saying, oh yeah, I have this annoying bug with like, oh yeah, I always have to do a hard reload to get like new data from Nux. I was like, oh yeah, did you enable route rules? And like, no, I didn't. And then like 5 minutes later, he came back and was like, oh yeah, I did enable them, and also in dev mode. And then they're cached. It's like, oh, yeah, you can do this, that. So like fixed it with him on the spot, and then it was like, oh, amazing, cool. So also these things, like people are there not only to see the talks, but also to talk to the speakers or maybe like ask some questions, right? And that's why like I'm a big fan of like being available for people if they want to talk, right? I don't want to force upon me like, hey, want to talk about Vue, want to talk about Next? More like, okay, just like joining if there are interesting topics, be part of the conversation.
Yeah, trying to be there and help out and have conversations. That's
the way it goes.
Yeah,
same. But yeah, I really think also after these, well, it was more or less for me, it was like 4, almost 5 days, because like, okay, the meetup before, then were 2 days Vue.js Amsterdam. There was one other day of a different conference. It was part of a 3-day ticket, which was called DevWorld, which is more a general focus on like engineering in general. So there were like backend, DevOps, engineering manager talks, but also front end. And the 3rd day, I luckily only had one single responsibility besides giving a talk and at Vue.js Amsterdam emceeing. I had the honor to be part of a panel as the host with people from different front-end frameworks. So we had Anthony from Vite, of course, also Nux and Vue team member, Daniel, and then we had Shai from Quick. We had Minko, who is part of the Angular team, and we had Ryan Cornado from Solid. And that round, that was super interesting. Plus picking the right questions to like not get into too spicy topics, but also make it more interesting. That was tough, but it worked.
Yeah. Are there recordings of that are going to come out?
Yes, same. That's also recorded, and it will also come out soon. Link in the show notes if it's not there yet. Then the link is of course not available yet, but it also should come out around the same time, because I remember like lots of people were interested in that panel. It's also like it was meant for an hour, so that went pretty well too. But in the beginning, I thought an hour of time, I would like write down 20 questions or something. Then it was like more realistic, probably more like 10. But I think we didn't even go through half of them, because like as soon as the flow is there, people are talking, then you don't want to like interrupt necessarily or like jumping in and be like, okay, then we have to do next question. Just like, okay, let them talk, and where it fits, maybe slide in another one. And time passed so quickly. It was insane.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be very interesting talk with that group of people, and not a group of people that end up in the same room very often. And so
never before on stage like that. So
yeah,
that was a premiere.
Great idea to have a panel like that. And yeah, I'm going to looking forward to that recording coming out, because yeah, I want to check that one out for sure.
And I can give a little spoiler. Everybody hasn't had a chance to see it yet. So at the end, everybody lists one feature of their framework that if they would have to build like a new super framework, that has to go in there. So also these answers are really interesting, and you could clearly see, even if you wouldn't know, if you only don't know, okay, people from frameworks, you would have guessed who is part of which team, based on these answers. So that was also really fun.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I came up with it. I've came up on the spot, actually, mainly because I started basically the panel of like, oh yeah, let's create all a super framework together, like haha, fun and so on. And then we jumped into some questions, and it was like, okay, let's have a nice frame around it and just like have a quick one for the end. So yeah, definitely worth checking. Yeah, and I think other than that, like that was a really rough overview about the Vue.js Amsterdam conference this year. And there will be, of course, more conference coming up with like VueConf US soon. Vue.js Toronto will probably be in the late part of the year. There's Vue.js Berlin or VueConf Germany coming up in October, where I also submitted a CFP and hopefully will be part of it, and more and more and more. So I'll hope to see you at some of them, Michael, and also some people of our audience there. So I would, if you're there at some of the conferences, spot either of us, please definitely say hi. I heard that one story of saying, oh yeah, you look too busy. Just say hi. Like we are there, as you just heard, to talk with the people. So do it.
Yeah, my entire reason for being there is to talk with other people. So if I look too busy, then that just means that I'm trying to find other people to talk to. That's what I'm busy with.
Perfect. All right, I think that's a great wrap up. So I would say hear everyone next week or in one of our previous episodes if you haven't checked them out yet. And other than that, I would say have a great week and talk to you soon.
See ya.